hold on just a minute. Hi, who's this? Gretchen? Gretchen, get Carolyn for me. I'm calling my house over in the Hamptons, and that's my servant from Sweden, Gretchen. And I need to tell Carolyn that I've landed. What? She's getting a massage. By who? El Gordo? When did he get his license? He didn't get his license. Okay. Well, tell Carolyn that I landed when she gets done with her massage. And I'm here at the off-grid property so I can make my $1 million video. Slow down. I can't understand your accent. Okay. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye. So, just flew in from the Hamptons, as you know. My airport's back here. I got to be careful. I don't want to give away my location because I'd have all those hackers follow me around just like Elon Musk. So I'm a little late today. It's pretty hot, and boy, the landing strip was tough to land on with all that heat. I got to get my pilot's license recertified here pretty soon. I'm kind of glad I had a rough landing like that. That way I can, have the practice. So I can see that the farmer next door has brought the chickens over. It's pretty hot for them, but they seem to be doing okay. They got a tub of water they can get in, and they're burying themselves in the dirt. So as you know, it's a pretty difficult life trying to make these YouTube videos on this property and living, in the big mansion. I've talked about this before. It's a lot of work. I have to travel here in the morning, and if everything goes well, then I can leave here about 5 o'clock, get home about 7. But it sure does not leave me a lot of time to party with Carolyn and all that. It's a difficult life, but you got to make your millions on YouTube so you can have that big mansion. I can see the helping hands helped out and loaded the sinks for me so I can make a video about how we do wash by hand. Now, of course, we don't really do wash. That's crazy. With the money we make, we got Gretchen and El Gordo, which I'm not sure what's going on with him. I didn't know he got his license to do massages, but they do the laundry for us, and we got this big, huge laundry mat in our house. So this is just simulation. Who would do their laundry by hand? That's just insane. Oh, good. I really do think the helping hands sometimes come over here and actually cook food. I mean, look at it. They staged it so we got bacon grease in there. A little dirty. They need to clean that up though. That's starting to look a little nasty. I didn't get any laundry hung. See, what they do is they hang the laundry up, and then when it's done, they just put it back in the wash and just go back and forth. There's no reason. See, when we live in the house, actually, I mean, a lot of our clothes are just dry cleaned. But I have to wear these shirts and different things. So El Gordo and Gretchen, they can wash these clothes for me. So these came out of the camper. I guess the farm hands. I wonder if they actually did the laundry in the tubs or if they took it out to be done. I don't know why they set it here. But this is from the camper. This is when we pretended that Carolyn's son was living here. Pretending that we're trying to get that cleaned up. So, of course, I'm being sarcastic again. I get so frustrated. I don't know if frustration is the right word. I don't understand how people can honestly believe that what we're doing is fake. I've seen videos of people criticizing off-grid channels. Not mine, but of big ones. And they say it's impossible to can food outside. You can't do it. You just don't have enough room to do it. You got to have counter space and a sink. And well, I don't understand that. I mean, they've been canning food since like forever. And back in the day, they had these hand pump wells they had to get water from. I mean, they may have had more counter space, but you don't really need a lot of counter space. Well, I mean, granted, we don't have a lot of counter space, and it does make it difficult to can food, but I set all the jars right here on the floor. You've seen me do that. As a matter of fact, if you want to see a video of me doing that, go to my channel, and then you'll see a tab up there. It says playlist. Go to playlist, and then down the side you'll see different categories. Just click on canned food, and I canned all kinds of stuff, chicken and bacon. With the bacon, you gotta be careful. There's no FDA or USDA approved methods of doing bacon. Canned bacon is your own risk. But I also did beef, ground beef, pork, and turkey. I think is everything we've done. And we did it with Tadler lids, so those are reusable lids, and we did it with canned, regular canning lids. So it can be done, but people will find any reason to say you can't live off grid. In the early days, people didn't have solar panels or electric. They just managed. I mean, during the Great Depression, the people who survived the best were the people who didn't have the things before the Great Depression happened. If or when there's another depression, which is quite probable. I mean, things seem to be getting better. Runaway inflation has gotten better. I mean, it's still high, but it's not running away from us anymore. They've raised the interest rate so high, nobody's buying homes, so you're not really at a credit risk anymore. But there is a chance that we could actually be in another depression sometime in our lifetime, and it won't affect us at all. I mean, prices will go up for us, and it'll be difficult to get some things. Chicken food, I mean, we can make our own chicken food. We've talked about it many times. We don't do it all year round. We are having problems growing sunflower seeds, but we can buy a bag of sunflower seeds. They're pretty expensive, but let's say that sunflower seeds doubled in price. We could still afford it, and a bag would last us a year. So that's all the protein they needed. And then I could just start baling up the weeds and the grass around here, and that would give them their nutrients. So we could still have eggs, feed ourselves. Now people will say, I'll just go hunting. Well, you got to understand, last year, there were so many deer on this property that I feel like I was surrounded in the morning times. I go down and open up the chicken coop, and you see eyeballs all around you. They're just everywhere. This year, they're not here. Well, that's because food prices went up and people started hunting around here more. And now they're gone. I've seen one deer twice in the last year. Now, a lot of people will say it's just impossible because there's just too much work to do. Well, it's been extremely hot for the last week. So Carolyn and I have been sitting in front of the fan. She's not really in, Hamptons. She's inside, just like always. She's doing laundry today. So she comes out and she does a little bit. And just right before she starts sweating really heavy, she goes back inside and sits in front of the fan and comes back out and does a little more. Today I had to get the water just like always. I turn on the well, which is no big deal. I go down the hill, I turn on a switch, water comes out of the well, and I fill an IBC tank until it's full. But today I decided I want to do a little bit of maintenance on the well. This pipe keeps falling back because the rope is stretching. So there's a rope that holds onto this. So there's three things that go down into the well. You got your pipe, which attaches to your well pump. You got the wire that attaches to your well pump, and then you got the rope that attaches to the well pump. So if any one of those things breaks, you can still get the well pump up. Now, it's not recommended that you pull on the pipe or the wire, but you could if everything failed on you. But the rope, I put all the weight on the rope. Now, I've been told by others you don't have to do that. You can put the weight on the pipe. The rope is just a backup system, but I would prefer putting all the weight on the rope. So I tie the rope around this steel. So it comes up, and inside here I tie it. All this is there was extra, so I just flopped that around. That's not holding anything. You can see that's pretty loose. But in here, I tie the rope to the steel rod here. It goes all the way across to the other side. And then I just fish the rest out of it right out of the hole. And so what happens is that rope stretched. When I put it down there, about a year later, this pipe fell down. So that's a foot out is what it is from that connection. Well, it's stretched, and I now know that next time I do it, I'll make the rope tighter. I'll figure out how to really wrench on it so I don't have that stretching problem. That's if I ever got to replace the well pump. What is the problem is it's hard to pull this up with both hands. You know, I got to take this off and I got to pull it out, and then I got to take that steel rod and I got to bring it up, and I got to hold the well pump from falling back down in there, and I got to retie that rope. Well, I've not done a very good job. Well, today I figured out that if I pull this out and I straddle it with my legs, that frees up my hands to work with the knot. So now I've got it. Unless the rope stretches again, which I'm not sure it will, I've got it. The problem is when it drops down that foot, I've got it right down at the bare minimum. If it drops down a foot, it gets too close to the dirt at the bottom of the well, and it draws that dirt up. After fixing it, I wasn't drawing that dirt up, and the water is cleaner now. And the way you test it is you let this bucket of water settle for a while, and then you take your finger and run it down the bottom, and if you don't see the bottom where you put your finger, that dirt will move out of the way. If you don't see that, then you know the water's clean. Just little things that you got to maintain. Well, I would have rather not done this in the heat. It was pretty hot doing that, and it was 9:30 in the morning, and I was just drenched with sweat. Now, here's what people are going to say is gross. My shirt gets wet all day long from sweat. It's just a thing. And people think that we got to have an air conditioner. I've talked about this in the last several videos. I sit in the fan, the shirt dries out. The sweat helps keep you cool. So as the shirt is drying out, from the fan blowing on you, you're cooling off. In the evening time when I put the chickens away, my shirt gets wet again. I do change it right before I go to bed. Change it when I take a shower. So I'm using 2 shirts a day, but you don't want to use a lot of shirts, so you're messing up all the laundry. So you do live with having shirts that have been sweated in all day. But here's the thing. We're on a carnivorous diet. I know people don't believe this, but I just heard another doctor say it on YouTube. That when you get rid of the sugars that you eat, the carbohydrates, the sugars, everything, when you get that out of your diet and you just eat meat and eggs, remember vegetables have carbohydrates in them, the bacteria under your underarms and your body have nothing to eat on. There's nothing to eat. So you don't produce as many body odors. So you actually stink less on a carnivorous diet. That's an added benefit. So I can live with myself all day sweating and then change my shirt before I go to bed. I don't want to have a wet shirt when I go to bed. I put a shirt on. Well, I put a shirt on so I don't mess up the sheets as bad, sweating on the sheets. Sweat my shirt up a little bit, and that'll soak it up before it gets into the sheets and the blankets and all that. But I'm sure that a lot of people could figure this out. This isn't impossible to do. I guess people just can't imagine that this has ever been done before. Today, I had a guy tell me, I'm 65 years old and I just moved to Missouri. It is impossible to live in Missouri without air conditioning. So there is just no way you're telling the truth about living off grid. You gotta have air conditioning. Well, I don't know what more I can tell you. Look right here. I sit right below this window here and there's a fan. I think you can see that fan blowing right on me. It tilts down. Carolyn has her own fan. We have a third fan blowing into the freezer this week because it didn't want to shut off. We put some slightly frozen bacon in there. When we got home, it was thawed out a little bit, not completely, but thawed out a little bit. So it took more energy from the freezer to run it off the batteries at nighttime. So I put a fan on there to help keep that compressor and condenser cooler. But if all else fails, we still do have the air conditioner in the camper. But like I said, we're still cleaning that camper. You know, she just washed the blankets, getting it all tidied up to her satisfaction level. It is not impossible to live off grid. I am not some sort of superhero. I'm not doing anything unique, or anybody can do this if you want to do it. The problem I see is people say they want to do it, but they don't. They fantasize about how great it would be to be by a lake and a mountainside in beautiful temperatures. But then when you hit them with reality, it's like, oh no, I can't do it. Same thing with nomadic life. When we were nomads, people had cognitive dissonance, where they thought 2 things at the same time, knowing you can't have 2 things happening at the same time and be true. People would think that they were going to come out, live in a van, Always be by a mountainside, never rain, always beautiful temperatures, never have to worry about the heat, never have to worry about the cold, because that's what van life is. Traveling the country, oh, you just follow the weather. No, I mean, we went to South Dakota in July and it got up to like 98 degrees. You gotta have a realistic viewpoint. Now, I'm not trying to upset a lot of subscribers by saying, oh, well, I guess I can't do it because I can't have air conditioning. You can do it, and you can be comfortable with it. You can learn to be comfortable. Humans can do that. We've just gotten spoiled. So if you click this up next box, take you to a video where I was talking about the batteries and the problems I was having with them. So I hope I can inspire you to toughen up so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.